While you are watching this video, these former WWE stars are sitting behind bars. While Cain Velasquez's WWE career was short, he made a big impact. The former UFC fighter made his debut on SmackDown in 2019 and manhandled Brock Lesnar. Following this, Velasquez would have his first WWE match at the Crown Jewel pay-per-view against the Beast Incarnate. Cain Velasquez looked impressive, but he ultimately lost to Brock Lesnar. To throw salt into the wound, Brock beat Cain down with a steel chair after the match and hit him with an F5 for good measure. Velasquez would disappear from WWE after that, and while the company had plans for him to return, it never happened. In April 2020, the company had a mass talent release, and Cain Velasquez was one of the many who got cut. After WWE, Velasquez would get in trouble with the law, but it's not what you'd expect. In early 2022, a man was charged with allegedly molesting one of Cain Velasquez's young relatives. The man had been released on a bond, and according to reports, Cain Velasquez himself chased after the guy. The former WWE wrestler reportedly used a gun to shoot at the vehicle multiple times and ended up injuring the accused man's stepfather. Cain Velasquez was later arrested on multiple charges, including attempted first-degree murder. Since the incident, Velasquez has been denied bail twice, with the judge determining that the risk is too great. As of right now, Cain Velasquez is scheduled to have a new plea hearing on June 30th, 2022. In the meantime, Velasquez remains behind bars. In the mid-80s, WWE was changing wrestling. The company was focused on presenting flashy, larger-than-life characters. One wrestler who made his WWE debut around this time was Steve Gatorwolf. It seemed like the company had hopes for Gatorwolf, but for whatever reason, things didn't work out, and he was mainly used as an enhancement talent. Steve Gatorwolf wrestled his last WWE match in 1990, and 7 years later would stop wrestling altogether. However, in 2014, he was charged with sexual assault against a child and a 15-year-old girl. He initially ran from authorities before deciding to turn himself in. In the end, Steve Gatorwolf was sentenced to 16 years in prison, where he remains to this very day. Buck Zumhoff is a name that you might not have heard due to him being an enhancement talent, but he was part of some big moments. He was Triple H's first opponent when the game made his WWE debut in 1995. Zumhoff was also the first person The Undertaker ever put in a body bag. In 1996, Buck Zumhoff wrestled his final WWE match, but he continued to be involved in wrestling. However, in 2013, Zumhoff would be arrested. He was charged with sexually abusing his daughter and was convicted of 12 felony counts of criminal sexual misconduct. He was sentenced to 25 years in prison and won't be free until 2039. Now here's a name only hardcore wrestling fans will know. D.T. Porter was signed to a WWE development contract in 2010. He trained in WWE's development system where he was given the nickname The Future. But if we're talking about him in this video, you know that it wasn't a bright future. D.T. Porter would be let go from WWE in 2012 and made a bizarre post on Facebook saying he was struggling to keep his sanity and that he'd been drinking almost every day. He also claimed that the WWE trainers would prank and disrespect him in front of the other wrestlers. A friend of Porter's would later say that getting released from WWE hit DDT Porter really hard and he became a different person. Sadly, the situation would turn tragic. In July 2013, DT Porter would kill his ex-girlfriend. He then led police in a high-speed chase until DT Porter crashed and was arrested. The former wrestler was convicted and sentenced to life in prison, with the judge insisting that in this case, life should mean life. The WWE star of the most infamous post-WWE career has to be Sunny. The WWE Hall of Famer joined the company in the mid-90s and arguably became the most popular female star in WWE during her run. She left the company in 1998, but was still active in the wrestling world. However, in 2012, Sunny would begin a long series of legal issues and would be in and out of jail. Charges range from driving under the influence to disorderly conduct to violating a protective order to making terroristic threats and more. At this time, her most recent arrest was in March 2022 when she crashed into another vehicle and killed a 75-year-old man. Initially, she was released after posting bond. However, the judge deemed Sunny to be a danger to the community and had her returned to jail. The WWE Hall of Famer sits in jail waiting for her trial date. If convicted, Sunny could spend 26 years in prison. Some wrestlers have done the exact opposite and helped put criminals in jail. To see that, watch this video.